My last video was more mark making, and here's the thumbnail to show you what it looked like. So somebody having the compilation of compiling these papers, people said that they'd like to see the abstract when it was finished. I thought that first of all I'd show you just me compiling, getting the ideas from them, you know, compiling how I'm going to do it. So this was the newspaper one. This is done with the cellulose glue rather than the PVA glue. So really, I'm just going to give you a few ideas. I've done loads of videos with other paper making techniques and sort of collage techniques. This is lovely in itself. It is 2 pieces of tissue paper with papers ripped up in between it. Now I like it, but I feel it's too harsh for the compositions I want to make this time, so I won't be going for that one. But I've got loads of mark making bits that I may possibly use. And there's other videos as well on this monogamy technique where you crease up paper and then you get these lovely torn and tattered pieces that you can use. I mean, they just create really lovely effects. So almost instantly you get these beautiful textures and colours and stuff because of all your things that you've compiled over the past. And it looks like this end process is unbelievably easy, but of course it's taken you all that while to compile the papers in the first place. I particularly like this one. That was strings and threads underneath a piece of tissue paper, so the strings and threads were applied to a piece of 240 gram cartridge paper and then put a piece of tissue paper on top and then painted in acrylics, and it's got, I like this sort of muddy, dirty look about this. I think the more I go on, the more I want sort of very organic, very earthy type marks. So it's almost like none of this is enough, and I'm going to go on and do some earthy marks on canvases, so I've got more substance, more depth, because all of these papers ultimately really should go behind glass. You can glaze them in an acrylic medium, you know, so you could varnish them all once you've done them and just leave it. But look at all these beautiful pieces. They're all sort of dying to go together, aren't they? Very, very easily, now that I've got them. This was from a seascape journal. That's really nice. It's the leftover bits out of the seascape journal. I'll put a link to that as well, and also to the mark making. Really, all you need to do is refer back to what we've already done, what demos and tutorials I've already put on the YouTube, and you'll see all these lovely techniques you can use these papers for. I mean, that is a piece of fabric that I think I probably used it just to mop something up, and look how lovely it is. And look how beautiful it will be if it was stuck down. Oh, that was from the Sea Journal as well, look. So if you look, there's a seascape journal, and also ways of doing all these is shown. What's really interesting is how they inform them, how each colour informs you of where you want to go with it. For instance, this is very much a grey colour with some orange in it. It has colour, and although that's not the actual texture I want to use, I wanted to paint it. The greys and the orange and the blues within this newspaper are telling me what I want to do with this. So I was looking, do I want this sort of colour with it? And I don't, you see. And I found this lovely little piece. This is a gorgeous piece, this sort of pinky thing. But again, what exactly am I after at this point? And I have to be careful. How am I going to be informed with this? For instance, this is a piece of newspaper painted in gesso, like I explained, but obviously the colours are too similar, so I don't want something like that. So I'm going to paint this in gesso, this thing, leaving some of the lovely raw edges of the paper, because they will take paint in a different way, and try and get it sort of greys and oranges that I like, because it's not what I want at the moment. So I've just got my piece of newspaper that I'd made, and it's a bit wet because I wanted it to go soggy so that it would lie flat when it was stuck, and I'm just painting it in gesso. And of course gesso is a plastic too and will act like a glue, but what I really can't believe how is that it forms a really strong, very resistant coat. I mean, it is quite a substantial plastic when it's finished, when it's dry. It sort of consolidates the substructure, which is of course just newspaper, and turns it into a more substantial sort of plastic papier-mâché. And I'm going with whatever forms are going to happen. You know, I'm not really thinking about it, I'm letting it happen, which is always really nice. Those lovely moments of surprise and, what is it called, serendipitous perfection, that's got very little to do with you personally and more to do with the stuff itself. Okay, so you get the gist. While it's wet as well, I haven't painted all of it, I've left some white bits. I'm just going to turn it over and put loads of this stuff on the back because I'm going to let this gesso actually stick it to the piece of paper, so creating yet another sort of plastic bonding. So I've got quite a lot of gesso on there because I'm going to turn it over and use that to stick it to my piece. So just go back to where I was, something like that. That's going to go in there, and then this is going to go on top, and I want the lovely raw ends. Ooh, you see, look, it's already started gluing up to the piece of newspaper below, and I should have done that on plastic. There we go. Learn along with me. Oh look, it's lovely, it's really, really stuck to it. I'm just going to pull it away. Should have done this on a piece of plastic, you know how I normally do. It's really good you see all these mistakes, because for a start, you feel better when you make your own, and it's less frustrating. If someone's demonstrated that, you know, I'm supposed to know what I'm doing, and I make mistakes all the time. And that's so impatient. But I don't think it's going to matter. I mean, with any luck, the whole thing, all these serendipitous happenings create the thing in the end in any case. Now let's see what happens. Whatever stays on can stay on, sort of thing. Put all that on the floor. What a mess. Okay, here goes. And that was really because I wanted to keep the beautiful mark making and the way that it's gonna paint up so that some of the actual paper is still there. So that was well and truly, you know, mistakes abounding. Let's see what happens. And it's all soggy and wet, so you can just use it like it's a papier-mâché at this point. Right, don't like that. I want it more like that way. I want it sort of more. Okay, so now I've got this gorgeous weird stuff, and I've got filthy fingernails. I'm just getting everything so it glues down, and so it turns into this plastic stuff rather than being paper that's just going to rot. And I want the folds and the creases with it, and I want it to be a mess, an organic. I mean, that's not got glued down, and I can add some more gesso if I want, just to sort of solidify it all. And I can also not stick bits down until I'm ready. So now I want this bit stuck down, and because it's very plasticky, it's really hard. Do you know what I mean? It's brittle and hard. So what I'm going to do is just put lots of glue on this. I don't want PVA. So I dampened this piece because it's, as I said, it was very plastic. I've put some bookbinding glue on it, but it doesn't really matter about that at this point because I'm using so much gesso and plastic. I would probably be fine using acrylic medium. And can you see how this gesso is now rubbing all over this because I've got some on it, but you can wipe it off so you don't have it, or you can leave it. And I just really want that fixed down nicely on this paper, and then fix this down on top. And you can see already that it is going to be beautiful. That it's got some really nice mark making on it. Put that down as well. And there are bits that are paper still and bits that are plastic. So they will take paint in different ways, and you can keep on adding to that, can't you? That's not it. And then just finish off gluing down the bits you want to glue down. Making sure that your papers and that are going to sort of, I don't know, fix. And then you've just got these edges, you've got gesso and you've got paper. And you've got your collage. And it is amazing, you know, your own hand, the way you do things determines what it looks like so much. So don't worry about style too much, because your own messy self is going to determine that to a degree, or non-messy self, depending on who you are. And then I had these other bits, didn't I? I had this bit. There were lovely things like these, which I might add in, or I might not, because I actually like that so much. But you see, having done all the bits and pieces, that's really ready for a really lovely abstract to go on top of it. I shall show you when I've finished it. Well, I keep saying that, I might actually show you as I go along, but I'm not sure. Here's another piece of paper. I've just sort of cut it to a size that's going to fit into a mount, and I'm sticking it down with cellulose glue and bookbinding glue so that I can wash it off. I don't want it sealing the edges, I want the edges to have some character as well. And I really like these extra bits that are going over the edges. That is just paper with cellulose glue texture on it. Strips of paper and strips of tissue paper stuck onto it. I've just got my cellulose glue and my bookbinding glue. I'm going to take any bits off because I want them to be there too. Make sure everything's nice and stuck down and that there isn't too much glue everywhere. And I just want some of the pieces coming over the edge, but when they're framed, I don't think they'll show much. They'll just sort of be messes at the side of a piece of paper. And of course they won't be messes, they'll be absolutely beautiful. The underside paper is actually wet as well, damp as well. That's because I've just stretched it, but I haven't got time to wait. And then on top of this, because I really like the things going over the edges, I'm adding to this at this point as well, and just getting some extra bits on there. So that and tissue paper for a few times. And I'm trying to keep some of the torn edges because I like them, because you'll see when I paint them the torn edges come out nicely. And I have actually got a piece somewhere there. That was one painted before. So it's cellulose glue on paper, ripped, and all the lovely edges do really nice things. I do want some more of these filaments coming over the edges of it. So get some tissue paper. Then I'm going to leave it to dry and paint it and see what happens. So a nice bit of experimentation again. I started painting it without you, I'm afraid. We're having building work done in the studio, and they'd started, and I couldn't wait because otherwise all this sort of process just takes too long. In any case, you get the idea. So this one was papers and tissue papers stuck on to a piece of paper and then just painted, okay? And the different beautiful bits of it take the paint in different ways, and you just have to go with it and see what happens. And just take it easy, because sometimes just the cellulose glue seems to take the ink in a certain way, and you just have to go with it, see what happens, and allow it to be who it wants to be. And it just makes some really beautiful, beautiful, beautiful marks, irrespective of what you do. And the same with this one. So I'm building up lots of layers of colour with this. I'm just going to keep painting it and keep painting it until I feel like it's interesting. And you're both applying paint, but also letting it do what it wants to with the creases and the cracks. And you can also put it on and then rub it, and some of it will come off. But that's pretty unpredictable as well. And sometimes you want it to come off, and sometimes you don't. It comes off and you didn't want it to happen. And it's all to do with how it's been sealed underneath, I think. And you will see such lovely little bits come out, and it's nothing to do with me, it's pure luck. So I've got it's an emeraldy bluey green, turquoisey green here, and a black, and that's all I'm doing. And see, there's a mark there. I want to you can sometimes pull it out and blend it in so it's not sort of a sharp line and just looks like it's happened. Oops, that's got a big lump of black on it on the brush by mistake. So you weren't just using the liquid, you were using an actual solid lump of acrylic. Make sure there's no bits that are obviously sort of not being painted, like I've forgotten them in somehow. I don't want that to look like I've forgotten anything, because you have to be very quick and spontaneous about it. So there's sort of bits that you might miss, but equally, does it matter? And then the trick is knowing when to stop, isn't it? I do actually want a little bit of yellowy. I think I do. Like yellow in the middle of that. Get some that's not too harsh. Wanted something that was a bit of a surprise. That's nice. Okay, that's it. A bit of black in there just to make sure it looks like it's done. And take it off again. There you go. That's enough. I never stop, do I, when I say that's enough? Okay, now back to this one, because I did actually want this more grey than orange. And this is just add it until you're happy with it. So you can take your time over it, can't you? There's parts of it where the, what's it called, the gesso actually rejects the colour, which really, really is nice. No, it doesn't matter. the thing is to just let go and not worry about it. You see, you can keep going. After this, you can add yet another coat to the edges to bring out the shapes. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll show you it when it's finished. So I've ended up with something like this. I love the subtleties in this one. Yeah, I really enjoy that one. Then I've got a mount board just to show what it will be like before, you know, once it's framed. And that's all I'll do with that one, just leave it as it is. Glaze it a couple of times with a acrylic medium so that it's the intensity of the colours really should come out. But I love the mucky greys of it. Not so sure whether it's a commercial success, but I think it's beautiful. And then this one, I just love it. I painted this grey with it around the outside, and I feel it needs something inside. So I've just got a piece of tracing paper, and I'm just making a shape that I think would suit it. I just wanted it to sort of follow the shape, but actually, you know, have a bit of character as well. So I think I'm going to go for something like that shape in the middle there, like a bit like a key. I might even do another bit there, just because I felt it needed something to join the two edges together, and I didn't resolve that in the making of it. So I'll use this shape that I've made, and I'm going to make another bit with texture, find another bit of texture, whatever it will be, to go in there. There were so many nice bits that I did in the videos previous to this that would work really nicely in there. I'm going to take something out of there, I think. So I can, in fact, I can go that way, and then I can go that way. Draw around the bit of tracing and cut it out and see what it looks like. So you've got a sort of key in there. I mean, that looks okay. And I wanted a sort of matching bit to come out like so. And then just see what it looks like. That's a bit muck. I mean, that would do, but I probably won't go for that. But I thought I'd let you see it, see the possibilities. I think I did have something that I'd made. There is this sort of thing which I quite liked as well, so I might just go with something like that, but paint it. But in any case, I'm going to wait. I'm not going to rush that. I'm going to think about it before I put another piece on, but I thought I'd let you know, the possibilities of it, what happens to it. Oh, thanks for watching. I hope you got something from it. I hope you realise these lovely potentials of these beautiful pieces of paper. I mean, there are in fact so many nice pieces that we made that would go in there as well, and then it's just a question of making choices. I do quite like that in there too. But they're very different when you cut them out, aren't they? I'm just going to try it because I like this bit. This is sort of lozenger again. And see what... I mean, that's almost quite nice. But there are so many possibilities, aren't there? It just then becomes just a question of choice. So I hope you enjoy this process, and I hope you enjoy the outcome of it. The way that the paints respond to the plastic medium of acrylics is lovely. You learn so much about how the paints respond to the substrate by using different substrates, and how you can mess around with that to use things to your advantage. There'll be loads more videos on this sort of thing. I hope you like and subscribe, and see you again. Thanks very much. All the best.